Shalom, shalom. This is now part 3 of teaching the end from the beginning. We're doing a review of backing up from Bereshit, Genesis chapter 11, going back to chapter 1, to how to enter back into the Garden of Eden. Okay, there's steps that we take that we've applied in our lives. Again, watch these in sequence, because it won't make any sense if you just hit and miss these teachings, okay? We're in Bereshit chapter 8, Genesis chapter 8, in part 3, okay? We'll read a little bit and I'll just expound as we go. To teach the parties the 4 different levels of Scripture, which are the 4 riverheads that exit the Garden of Eden after the fall. And these 4 riverheads, the 4 meanings of Scripture, bring us back to the master of the parties, the Peshat literal, the Remez, the applied, the inferred, the hinted at, the drash is all the symbolic and the parables, and the sod is the mystery and the hidden. And I'm basically staying in the sod right now, giving you baby steps into the sod level, so you can understand to hear the shepherd's voice. Because the masters breathed this word into life, and there's so many things that we wouldn't be deceived by false doctrines if we would understand this 11 going back to 1. We have to go back to the Garden of Eden since the fall of Babylon. We were in Babylon, so Babylon backwards is where we go. So that's what I'm trying to share. And I'm expounding and laying down some of the things of the spirit world, too, that will help you understand of the mysteries of the Melachim and the spirits that minister to us. So out of him, remember Noah and all the beasts and all the cattle in this boat, the salvation ark, and all that were in the ark with them. And out of him he made a wind to pass over the earth, and the waters were subsided. So his breath moved across the waters that allow us to lift up out of them or come out of our watery grave that we were saved from by the ark. And it's still a picture of immersion. You know, the flood of Noah is still a picture of us dying in the flood of the old man, of being the type of the dead firstborn of Egypt that had to die to allow the blood paint in the doorpost, to allow the alive firstborn son to escape from Egypt through the Passover blood. You know, there's all sorts of dual analogies like that. So the fountains of the deep, they were dried up, and the windows of heaven were stopped. The rains from the heaven were stopped. Now I'll cover more of this in Bereshit 1 when we get there. The waters receded steadily from the earth, and the end of the 150 days, or the end of the 5 months, and pick that 5 months up in Scripture. You're going to learn something in the book of Revelation. Again, that's the end. The book of Revelation teaches these 11 chapters. You see, you have to go back and study it through the feast. The book of Revelation is teaching the feasts. Okay, we were from the end of the 150 days of the 5 months, the waters were diminished. Now in the 7th month, on the 17th day of the month, the ark rested on Mount Ararat and ascended. When it resting on the mountains, the waters were decreased until the 10th month, 2.5 months later, and the 10th, when the first day of the month, and the tops of the mountains became visible. So, and that's it. If you look at the Sod's picture, the tops of the mountains were visible. The Father's saying, okay, so now it's about time, Noah, or those who have entered into his rest from the toil of the weeds and the tares and the thorns of this earth. That's what Noah was prophesied his name to be. The mountains become visible. He's saying, now he's pointing to something. I'm going to give you authority. Whenever the mountains become visible, Noah's the only living human being with his family. They will rule the mountains. You see? It's pretty interesting. So he's saying, I'm giving you authority again. So he sent out a raven, which kept going out and turning back until the waters had dried up from the earth. I won't go to that right now. Then he sent out a dove. Remember, the dove was a type of the breath of Yahusha that descended upon him in his immersion, that dove. Remember how the dove finally landed on Yahusha? And the dove came and went and finally left permanently after he let her out 3 sets of Sabbaths or 3 7-day weeks. And the same spiritual type of the dove of the Ruach eventually landed on Yahusha's head and filled him with the Ruach. It's that same type of a dove ministry. So he sent out the dove to him to see if the waters were receded from the face of the ground. But the dove found no resting place for her feet. And she returned to the ark unto him, for the waters were still upon the face of the earth. So he put out his hand, and he took her in and pulled her into himself. This is verse 10 of chapter 8. And again he waited yet another 7 days. And again he sent the dove out of the ark. So the dove came to him in the even, and see, there was a freshly plucked olive leaf in her mouth. And Noah knew that the waters had receded from the earth. So he waited yet another 7 days. There's sevens and threes. We won't cover this now. I'm trying to hit this very lightly, but the number 7 and 3 is very important. He waited yet another 7 days, and he sent out the dove, and she did not return to him again. Now, in the soul level picture, this dove finally lands back on the head of Yahusha. You see? It's very interesting. So it came to be in the 601st year, in the first month, on the new moon day of the month, the waters were dried up from the earth. And Noah removed the covering of... Okay, if this is the ark, the covering is the mercy seat. You see? Because the door on the side of the hull of the ship, he didn't open. There was a covering on the top. And it wasn't high enough that he could see out of. He had to walk by faith. The Father had it engineered where he couldn't see out to see. Well, that's where the dove had to go out. He couldn't get out and look. And once he was able to leave, then the seat or the covering was lifted. There's a whole pictorial teaching on the covering too. So that he removed the cover of the ark. And he looked, and he saw the surface of the ground was dry. On the second month, on the 27th day of that month, the earth was dry. So Elohim, he spoke to Noah, and he said, go out of the ark, you and your wife, your sons wives with you. Bring out every life form of all flesh that is with you. Birds, cattle, creeping things, and I've covered this earlier in the last series, and all the creeping things of the earth, and let them teem upon the earth, and bear and increase upon the earth. So Noah, he went out, him and his sons, and his wives, and his sons' wives with him. With every creature, every creeping creature, every bird, whatever creeps upon the earth according to their kinds, went out of the ark. Then Noah built a slaughter place, and he took one of every clean beast, and offered the ascending offering to Yahuwah. That's chapter 8. Now let's go back to we're backing up. Go to chapter 7 now. We're going to piece this together. Chapter 7. Bereshit, Genesis chapter 7, please. So Yahuwah said to Noah, come into the ark now. Again, we're going back to the Garden of Eden. You and all of your household, because I see that you are righteous before me in this generation. Now what's in the ark? The 10 Commandments, Aaron's rod, the manna, the jar of manna. See the symbolism here? Of all the clean beasts, take with you 7 pairs. We won't go into all the details. 7 of the clean, 1 pair of the unclean. Pick up verse 10. 7 verse 10. So it came to pass after the 7 days, the waters of the flood were upon the earth. Now in the 600th year of Noah's life, that is what 600 years? That's 12 jubilees. Okay? And 12 is new perfect order, new government, perfect order and government, okay? So in the 12th year, basically, or 12 jubilee years, in the second month, on the 17th day of the month, on the day, all the fountains of the great deep were broken up, all the windows of heaven were open. So we have to go back to our purposes of going back and repenting. Remember, all this is going to be covered in Bereshit 1. He divides the waters from the waters and puts a heaven in there, an atmosphere, okay? So if we are backing up, going back to the Garden of Eden, why is it so important? Let's see where I'm at here. Yeah, verse 10. So it came to me after the 7 days, the waters of the flood were upon the earth. And in verse 11, all the fountains of the great deep were broken up, and the windows of the heaven were opened. It caused the flood. which is a good thing. We cannot be totally restored and healed until we are flooded with His Word. Now this is going in reverse. We're going backwards. So as we are repenting and as we learn how to understand the ministering spirits assigned to us and that we have authority over, now the floods are going in reverse. All of the floods of the heavens were stopped for us. All of the floods of the earth were stopped for us. And what does that leave in between heaven? You see, where the Garden of Eden abides, a little bit farther down the road. We haven't gotten there yet. But see, there's the atmosphere set back up. Right now, this is going in reverse, having the flood begin to come. The waters of heaven were open. He earthquake the earth and have all of the inner springs blast out to fill up the earth. Okay? So the rain was on the earth for a probation period of time for 40 days and 40 nights. And on that same day, Noah had Shem, Ham, and Japheth, the sons of Noah, Noah's wife. And there's a meaning for Noah as far as the rest from the toil and the labor of the cursed land. Shem is the name. Ham is, I'm forgetting Ham. One of them is heat. I didn't prepare for that. One of them is fire, heat. Japheth or Ham is fire, heat, and I can't remember the other one. So there's even a spiritual meaning of the three sons. And Noah's wife and his three wives with them. They had every form of life after its kind. Every beast, blah, blah, blah. So then verse 15 of chapter 7. They went into the Ark of the Covenant. That's a type of Noah. 2 by 2. 2 walking in agreement. There's even a spiritual picture of that in the prophets. Of all flesh that had the breath of life. And those going in, male and female, of all flesh, went in as Elohim had commanded him. And the floods, now listen, were upon the earth for 40 days. And the waters were increased and lifted up upon the earth, and it rose high above the earth. And the waters were mighty and greatly increasing in the earth and the waters. And the ark moved about on the surface of the waters. So when mankind, or nations, tongues, and languages began to die, we began to rise up. There's even a spiritual picture in that. It's the salvation event. We're going in reverse. The waters became mighty, 15 cubits upwards. The mountains were covered. All flesh died. The creeping creatures and the birds, the cattle, the beasts, and there's even a spiritual meaning of all those who were in the earth. All of their ministering spirits were removed from them, ones that were assigned to them. See, they weren't killed. It's in the soul level mysteries. Once a beast is killed or processed, it's no longer useful to you. Okay? And all the nostrils, who was the breath of life, all that was on dry land died. So he wiped off all that. So he wiped out all that stand which was upon the face of the ground, both man and beast, creeping creature and bird and heavens. They were all wiped off from the earth. Only Noah was left, those who were with him in the ark. And the waters were mighty upon the earth for 150 days, or 5 months. So remember, Yahushua even taught this. As in the days of Noah, so shall be the coming of the Son of Man. As in the days of Noah, so shall be coming of the Son of Man. As we are growing towards the Garden of Delights, Garden of Eden, mankind who's not saved or understand or called, they are dying in the waters. They get caught up in the end time tribulation. All these people will be resurrected again. They're not lost forever. And the same for humanity. They're dying back under their sins or physically dying in an end time tribulation. It's either or. Remember that 5 months they were tortured by a certain bowl judgment, remember? Was that the sting of scorpions? I'd have to check it out again. But like I said, remember Yahushua, as the days of Noah are the coming of the Son of Man, the days of the Son of Man. Okay, I'm going to continue on.